Hey, and welcome to episode 6 of my series where I talk unscripted and unedited for about 10ish minutes every day for 30 days. It's the challenge I'm doing. And today's a bit different in that I'm recording on a Saturday, so a weekend. So I'm not allowed to come into work and record there, which is where I normally record. I'm just sat awkwardly at home in a cupboard. And it feels a bit strange, back to being awkward, this setup. And maybe the sound is better, maybe it's worse, but gonna have to get used to things again for weekends. But yeah, the setup. On that topic, I think I'm going to talk about my setup, the gear I have. I'd like to talk about all the gear I've purchased to get started with content creation like this, the gear I currently use, and the gear I recommend that you use to get started. And beginning with this, it'll take me all the way back to around 2007, 2008 or so, where after thinking it for a bit, I do remember I did start a very brief YouTube channel back then. I can't find the channel because I can't remember any of the credentials at all. I seem to have the email address still, but it's a Hotmail account, so I can see the contact information I've received from YouTube, or any contact they've given me, but the name of the channel isn't in any of the emails, so I can't find the channel anymore. It was just gaming content and a brief attempt at overly dramatic vlogs. So I'd drive home from university. This is before I dropped out of university, and I tried to do something like make a vlog on the way because it was a 6-hour drive, which is quite a long time for a drive in the UK. But back then I started off with two things, and that was, number one, the most expensive desktop computer that I could buy from PC World, which is a technology shop. It's been taken over by another company these days, and it was completely unnecessary. I used it for playing video games as well, of course, and recording the footage there, but it was complete overkill. I really didn't need to spend like most of my student loan on this computer. But I also had a camera phone, so an old Sony Ericsson. So this was before smartphones came out, back in the day. Some people might remember that. And I still have the phone, and it works perfectly fine. I've been thinking recently of just using it again for my daily phone, for phone calls and messages and such. I'll put a picture of it on the screen actually. And it's just been going like a tank. I've had this for, God, it must be coming up on 15 years now, maybe a bit longer. And I'm really impressed with it. But that's what I had at the very start, a little camera phone and a really expensive computer. Now, fast forward a while, because it wasn't until 2020 when I really started thinking about this again. So it was under lockdown. We were all trapped inside our houses. We weren't allowed to go outside. The government banned going outside. Well, they didn't really ban going outside, but everyone was trapped inside. So I started thinking that maybe I could get into streaming or something along those lines. So I shelled out on a Logitech webcam, and if you remember, at that period of time, nothing was ever in stock, and when it was in stock, it was really expensive. I'll put the make and model on the screen as well. It was a Logitech 9 something, and I paid like £100 for this webcam. It's worth so much less than that these days, and I thought I had to have a good webcam, so that's what I bought. And I've never used it once for anything other than a couple of Microsoft Teams meetings before I got back to work. So it's another example of something I paid way too much for, and it didn't get any use, or hardly any use. I still have it, it still works, but God, I was ripped off. Following on from that, before I didn't start any sort of streaming or anything, or any content creation, but following on from that, I thought, well, maybe it's not just the webcam I need the audio as well, that's the important thing. No audio, or bad audio, who's going to want to watch that? So I bought myself a Blue Yeti X microphone, and again that was £100 and something. So I had this webcam, a decent computer, which, I mean, I always had a fairly decent mid-range computer ever since that fateful day of me getting scammed at the PC World back in 2007-ish. And yeah, I had everything I needed to get started, and I didn't do anything. I didn't start any streaming or recording or have any real plan as to what I wanted to do. And yeah, that was again, I still have the microphone, but it was perhaps some sort of waste of money. I needed to really get started before I, shelled out on buying these things, and have a plan as well. Because after I had these items and I hadn't yet started, I thought, well, maybe what I need is a mirrorless camera and a capture card in order to get started for an even better video experience, because that's what all the big streamers have. Of course, I wasn't making any content, so I didn't have any baseline to start with. Now, fortunately, I didn't buy these things, because that would have been another £600, I think, and I had nothing to speak of for all this at this point. So yeah, that was great, I suppose. And then there was another lull, so there was another period of me just constantly thinking, well, I'll wait for something to happen, then maybe eventually I'll get started. I kept an eye on some action cameras, and I did eventually pick up a DJI Osmo Action 2 action camera, because I had this genius idea that I was going to do some sort of point of view content, record outside and talk over it, or something along those lines. Travel-esque style content, but from a scientist's perspective. And yeah, so I had this fancy action camera, and I didn't do anything with it. As usual, I still have it. It still works fine, but it's just sitting around, not being used. It's being superseded by many models now, to the point that even if I were to slap it on eBay or so, I'd be impressed if I even got £50 for it. So I might as well just keep it, and perhaps some use will come up for it, but I don't know. Ever since then, I've constantly been thinking, well, maybe what I need is the latest model of the DJI action camera, or the GoPro, or a 360 camera. I almost bought a 360 camera last year, the Osmo 360, but fortunately I've started slowing down when it comes to wasting my money on tech. I've made one purchase really that I am using right now, and I'm very happy with it, and it is the DJI Mic Mini with the mobile phone receiver, so it just slots into the USB-C port of my phone. It's really small, and that's what I'm using to record the current audio. It's very easy to use, it's discreet, and it was only £40. £40. God, can't speak in this cupboard. And yeah, it was probably the best thing I bought really, although I would say it isn't really necessary. So my current recording setup is I have my phone on a selfie stick tripod, mainly because I just like to see myself when I'm speaking, so it helps me just feel as though I'm not talking to myself, even though I obviously am just staring at myself in the phone, and I just take the audio from this. I know there are like recorder apps on, let's say, Android phones and iPhones as well. I could even just plug it into my computer really, but I don't know, I like doing it this way and it works for me. And I have that just plugged into my Pixel 9a smartphone. It's just a mid-range phone. I got a cheap deal during the Black Friday sales last year. I'm really happy with, and that's pretty much it. I use the Premiere Pro editing software to edit things together, which I fortunately get for free from work. But I know that the kind of content I put together, you could edit it together in anything. There must be software on your phone that could do this. There's that CapCut software. I'll have to have a look around actually for recommendations for cheaper softwares or free softwares for people. There's Shotcut, all kinds of bits and bobs. And yeah, so that's my setup. I record the footage with the Xbox Game Bar on my laptop, and so no additional software apart from those two bits and bobs. So yeah, what would I recommend you buy then, or you use in order to start making online content, be it video content, audio content, gaming content? Well, all you need, and I didn't believe this at first, all you need is just your smartphone. You have a camera on the smartphone. You have the capacity to record voice and audio because it's got a microphone. You know, if you're not too happy with the audio, what I've tried in the past is just putting a sock over the phone. So the microphone usually is in the bottom where your mouth would be when you talk. Just put a sock over it, and any of the harsh, like popping and such, might be reduced there. You have a recorder app to record video and audio. You could just get a voice recorder only app, but like I just like seeing myself. You can let's say have a script on your phone as you're reading, so you don't need anything separate for that. You don't need a teleprompter or any of that nonsense. A lot of phones have inbuilt image stabilization these days, so you don't need a gimbal to get started, although they're pretty cool. You don't even really need a tripod. You can just prop your phone up on some books or something, or if you've got a 3D printer, you can print something, some kind of mount. For gaming content, now I'm not sure about this, but there must be ways of recording your phone screen, so you can just record your phone screen, then record audio afterwards, or even at the same time. And you can edit on your phone as well. So that CapCut software is known to be usable on a mobile phone. So yeah, all you need is your phone to get started. I would really not recommend buying any kind of stuff until you have just gotten started using your phone. And don't worry if it isn't amazing. That's what I found so far. Because, you know, this doesn't necessarily need to be the big channel. So perhaps you want to just practice a bit, get something out there, and then you can start again in the future. Or maybe you'll be really good at it and happy with your progress, and, you know, be able to continue from there with your channel or wherever you do with online content. But yeah, anyone can do this, and it's really amazing the opportunities we have these days. Like, maybe I could have just started with that Sony Ericsson phone and just made content with that, and that would have been actually great. But it's a shame. I wish I did it, but now I'm starting with this and I'm really enjoying it. But yeah, that's all for me from today, and I'll talk to you again tomorrow. See ya.